did you see my message? Just closed on me. What timestamp are you on?
All right, everybody, we are back. So we were out of it for a little bit. My stream software crashed. We are currently at 10 minutes and 43 seconds into the Phantom Menace. We are at the
Perfect.
scene with the MTT with the introduction of legendary Jar Jar Binks.
Hey, he's an iconic Star Wars character.
Oh, yeah. No,
I
I
mean,
mean,
well,
this character was basically created for me, my demographic, your demographic, as young burgeoning kids in this whole world and figuring out what we're doing, not really just going to school every day. But I mean, looking at him, like, I mean, I'm sure they updated the CGI since, but he really does hold up pretty well for,
yeah.
it was like a
Well,
mind blowing how they actually made him in the first place.
well, I mean, Jar Jar not winning Best Visuals for Oscars that year. That was the probably one of the most. I'm not a person that says snub a lot with the Oscars because you can argue a lot of things, but that year, Jar Jar's the visual effects they should have won for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I had this actually toy set. It came with a Stap and Jar Jar and Qui-Gon actually.
Yeah, I one of my first toys I think I got from the Phantom Menace was actually the Starrapter. And I think I had to like
Hmm.
send away for him or something like that, like to actually get him. It was like one of those reward things. But
Yep, that's how I got mine.
oh,
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, just looking at how this all transpired, seeing like this guy that's in need running around, and the way he just gets taken in and just goes for the journey of a lifetime, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, it is interesting to see. We have a goofy character like this come into play. With such a serious character like Qui Gon and Obi Wan, especially because at this point, Obi Wan's trying to follow the books, by the book as strict as can be. So like, having a goofy character like this come into play is like such a wild card thing for Qui Gon and Obi Wan.
Oh yeah. So this is the part of absolute whimsy and everything else because you get to see Otta Gunga, and this is so cinematic. Seeing how this underworld city is just like created by bubbles and just how everything is underwater. It's like Atlantis in Star Wars, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, the music for this whole sequence is coming up is great. I mean, like
Oh,
again, John Williams. Like I love seeing some of the behind the scenes things for this, just because it's just crazy seeing how they made all of this, basically come to life.
yeah, real quick, fun little footnote in Star Wars: The High Republic. So apparently, these rebreather technology that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are wearing is all because of the Nile that uses like different kind of gas, war cloud gas. So like the Jedi had to like create a portable breather to like basically survive those fights against the Nile, and that's what we see basically a later rendition of what Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are using right now. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. That is a really cool tidbit. I like how they're almost not retconning, but retroactively adding to the canon like that. I think that's really really important, and it makes things more not consistent, but it makes them just a little bit more interesting.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and another thing, when it comes to this whole sequence, like with them going down to the Gungan city and everything, I always thought, even as a kid, I remember like 6, 7 years old, even rewatching it when I was 7, 8, 9. I remember as a kid thinking to myself, like, how could they swim with those big heavy cloaks on? You know,
Yeah.
like I was like, if you go into the water with a t-shirt on, you're sinking. Like, much less these big draping cloaks. Um, like I remember that very, very, um, very known memory. Like I remember saying that to one of my friends back then. I was like, how did Qui Gon jump in the water like that and not sink?
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So, what I like about this movie is shines light on the planet of Naboo very, very much so. And the fact that we haven't really gotten this from any Star Wars movie where we have like the indigenous people of that planet, but then we also have the people that settled on the planet. So it almost very much like reminds me of like, the pioneers settling in America, and you have the Native Americans, and how you had these two completely different peoples kind of like against one another to a certain degree, like the cultural and everything was against the, yeah. So it's cool that Star Wars had something new to say. Like when we go to Hoth, there's nobody there. When we go to Yavin 4, there's nobody there. Like Tatooine is just a mixture of everybody, like, New York City or something like that. So it is cool seeing like the actual people that lived on this planet are called the Gungans, and then everybody else kind of settled on their planet. So what happens now? And these people, unfortunately, were like shunned and everything else. And it's a great like little side plot to the story. Wow, because later on in the movies, you actually see like the Gungans in the main cities again, and different things like they're actually mingling again.
Oh yeah. Well, that's I actually using the pioneers and Native American example, this scene where they're meeting with what's his name, Boss Nass. When they're meeting with Boss Nass like this, they, when they walk into, I don't know, I guess you call that a chamber room. When they walk into that room, it reminds you of something you'd see like out of like movies that have Native Americans and pioneers, where like a pioneer would walk into like a Native American village, and everyone would be like whispering and talking about them and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this Boss Nass character, what do you think of this guy?
Well, first memory that comes to mind is there was this, either from Pizza Hut or Taco Bell, there was this little toy of Boss Nass where you could squish him and you could put him underwater and bring him back out and squeeze him and he'd shoot water. Like that's like the first instant memory I have of Boss Nass, is that little fast food toy. But in terms of like on screen, I think his character's fun. Like, as like I always say, we can't judge Star Wars like an Oscar-worthy movie. Like that's not even what you should be doing. So like, to me, Boss Nass was always a really fun character. Like I loved his whole I'm not even gonna attempt to do it. His whole agreement thing with Padme later on in the film, when he like shakes his head and all that stuff. Like he does that again. Like I don't know. As a kid, like you always had a good time with that stuff. So I think he was really good. And I remember just as a kid thinking, man, they have an underwater city. Like that's pretty cool.
Oh, this scene is fantastic. You got them going under the water. You have, there's always a bigger fish,
Yep. I had this Lego set as well. I've had pretty much every Lego set of everything.
Now, yeah, now there's a part in this area, oh, now we're at a different scene, but I can still say this because every time I watch a Star Wars movie, I notice something different that I didn't notice before. Coming up in the sequence underwater, there's something I noticed that Qui-Gon does to Jar Jar Binks, and he puts a hand on him as he's flipping out, and basically what I gathered is he like literally used the Force to like calm him to the point of like him falling asleep. Have you ever noticed that part? Because I feel like a lot of people don't realize that part.
No, I honestly, I'm gonna have to pay attention.
So
really pay attention.
It's coming up soon.
Okay.
Because I think their power dies out, then it comes back on. Then he flips out when he sees the fish, and then that's when Qui-Gon puts a hand on him. So it's cool, like the light side of the Force, and how they can do things to like tame beasts and calm people and stuff.
I mean, look, Ezra does it. Anakin does it in Episode 2. Jar Jar technically is a creature, like.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you want to call him.
Oh, here we go. So this is the part. But the visual effects look so good on these creatures, though. Watch, he puts the hand on him and he goes to sleep. You see that?
Oh wow! Yeah, I actually did not notice that before.
Right? I watched the movie like 30 times before I realized that's what happened. Like, it just happened like 2 years ago. I realized about it. Like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, I honestly did not notice that.
He's waking up again. I love how his like eye stalks are. Like his eyes are like coming together as he's waking up, and then they come back out.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
never. That's interesting. What do you say though?
No, I'm saying like this music right here, like the March of the Trade Federation. I freaking love this music. And that is an awesome moment. You see all the Trade Federation troop transports just coming in, like, oh man, this is a huge army that's coming in to take over this place.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely one of the most iconic like early moments of this movie because you really know they mean business basically.
Yeah, we got the lowdown show in the chat. How's it going, buddy? He's saying that Palpatine is from Naboo. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, Senator of Naboo. He's also saying that it was like a Vulcan pitch, what Qui-Gon did to him. So that makes
Spaceballs
sense.
reference.
So in the deleted scene, I remember I was very excited about getting the DVD for the Phantom Menace, which George Lucas always pioneered so much stuff. I believe the Phantom Menace was like one of the very first DVDs to ever come out, and it was one of the first
Hmm.
DVDs to have like bonus features like deleted scenes and stuff like that because VHS never had that stuff. And I remember them like advertising like there was a couple cool scenes. One of them involved that the Auto Bongo, whatever submarine thing is, like they come out of the water, but there's like a rapid waterfall, and like Obi-Wan has to like
Hmm.
swing this like hook to like get to the land so they don't
Yep.
fall over. So that was the scene. I was like, I gotta get the DVD so I can watch that. And I don't know why they took it out. Maybe it's just too much time, but it was pretty cool. That's like again deleted scenes getting pioneered by George Lucas, maybe.
Oh yeah, these like the prequels as a whole, the deleted scenes are made like if you want stuff to watch when you're a Star Wars fan and you haven't seen any of the deleted stuff for the prequels, just sit down one day and watch everything because you'll be there all day. It's amazing.
Yeah. Edwin Lowdown Show is saying great shot of the Queen looking out the window. That's like one of those moments that's cemented as like one of those great moments like she'll never forget. Like that's such a epic moment. Like looking out like her city that she's in charge of. She's basically submitting to defeat at this point. Like, yep, I'm looking out one last time at my city. I might not be alive, and this is it. But then we see the Jedi swoop into
Yeah.
action, and that I love that sequence when they're swashbuckling. They jump off the balcony, taking out these droids left to right. Like that's the first like real good moment of seeing how adept the Jedi are compared to these meek little droids.
Oh yeah, no, I love seeing them like you said, going into combat like that. Like I think it's great.
I mean, this movie really moves. I mean, we're 20 minutes, 23 minutes into this movie, and we're almost off Naboo already.
Yeah.
I think the pacing in this movie is really good for how much they actually get through in 2 hours and 16 minutes. I mean, this whole sequence here is great with the hangar bay, and they're just swashbuckling in to get into that royal starship.
Oh yeah, no. Like it was like this whole sequence a lot of this stuff really with this movie and the prequels as a whole like I it just brings me back to memories of playing like the Star Wars the original Lego game because you go through this entire movie like this whole scene like this like you said the hangar scene right here you play through it like it's just I don't know it's such a fun time to me the prequel era is one of the most fun if not the fun time for like us younger Star Wars fans.
Yeah, this is one of the moments that really makes me laugh a lot. Where are you taking them? To Coruscant. Coruscant, that doesn't compute. Kill them or you're under arrest. It's just like
Yep.
it's like nope. Um, yeah. So we have some more comments in the chat. We say Aaron Daly's back. Yes, we are back. We had a minor stream malfunction. Thanks for coming back, Aaron. But one of my favorite things of the Phantom Menace were Padme's dresses, just to show the great costume design that was in the prequels. Yes, she does her awesome own costumes. And I was very impressed by her showing me those when we were at New York Comic Con. Also, we have Lowdown Show. Keep in mind, Lucas was planning on Jar Jar being the secret Sith at first. Now, I'm not sure if that was actually from Lucas himself. Like, I thought that was more of a meme or a joke, but
I was thinking that was meme, but who knows?
who knows? I mean,
I
I've
mean, it's
seen
George.
I've seen images of somebody putting up a concept art for Wet Bub, who is from the High Republic, and he's basically a Gungan that's like hooked on spice, and it looks like the most grotesque thing you'll ever see, like evilish looking thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's basically what a Darth Jar Jar would probably look like.
Yeah, it probably really
Oh
what it is.
man, I don't know why I've always had a soft spot for Rick Olay, the guy in the tan jacket that was the pilot
Yep.
of this ship.
Yeah, God.
Like I had his
He
action
was the one. He
figure
was
and
the
I was
one.
like, this guy's so cool. He says like 5 lines in the movie though.
Oh yeah, no, and he's one of the biggest people that take heat in this movie too. Um, because his acting is so bad. Um, but especially when we get later in the movie, like when he's like, "There's too many of them," or what, I don't even know. Whatever his line is in the fight, I don't know. It's so bad.
But the cool thing is,
Um,
in the recent Darth Vader comics by Greg Pak, which take place before Return of the Jedi, but after Empire Strikes Back, Vader's going around dealing with the Amidalans as they're called, which are Sabe and all the other handmaidens, and actually Rick Olay
yep.
is with them, and he actually comes face to face with Rick Olay when Vader goes to Naboo, and I
Oh wow.
believe he survived. But at that point, they mentioned that Rick Olay has like he's like partially deaf from the Battle of Naboo, like something critically wrong happened with his ship, and he's like not in great shape, but I believe he survives Vader's wrath
Oh
somehow.
man, I hope he makes an appearance in Kenobi now.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, but
Uh,
the whole thing with the treaty, even with today, I'm just like I'm still a little bit unsure of the whole process of this treaty that Sidious once done and all.
yeah, no, I don't know. It's to me, it's just like, well, we got Ian McDermott.
Not for a Sith, and in comes Darth Maul, one of the coolest villains ever made in anything. I mean, when they first showed this guy was coming out, I was so obsessed with this character at the time. My father was doing like custom T-shirts with screen printing, and I had him actually concoct like my own first custom Star Wars shirt. This is before you can go on like any website and buy anything, because by the time the internet was in its infancy, they barely had video streaming
I mean,
at that least.
I mean,
So
I don't even think eBay was invented then, because
yeah,
I think
so
eBay came out in 2000 or
basically my
2001.
dad like created the whole screen for Darth Maul. So it was a black shirt and on the back it had like the highlights of like his tattoos exactly as they were. And I was like I was always walking around school with like my own custom Darth Maul shirt. Like, yeah, this is
Sure.
badass.
That's amazing,
We still
actually.
had the artwork is still in the basement for that original shirt too.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So now we have the introduction, catching everybody up. We got the introduction of R2D2, tracing back the lineage of that famous droid that helped so many people so many times throughout the
Well,
saga.
that's what I was going to ask you. What do you think about his intro here? Good, bad, forced? You don't mind it, or
Well, I thought, I mean, it's one hell of a way to introduce the droid because he's doing this heroic feat, which is like, oh my gosh, every other droid has failed, but by luck, I guess he survives.
yep.
But
That's
if they
that's
want,
that's
yeah.
yeah, no, that's pretty much how I feel. Like I think it was a pretty good intro for R2. It's cool that he like saves like Leia and Luke's mom basically, and Obi-Wan, I guess. But it saves all them. Like it's cool introducing him that way versus when we get later in the movie how another droid is introduced.
Yeah, yeah. So that's yeah, exactly. That one is a little bit different, but oh man, we return to Tatooine where it all started here, and seeing just this barren landscape. But it's interesting. We see a different side of Tatooine. Like, yeah, it's very similar to Maz Eisley, but Maz Espa is also a very burgeoning, upbeat kind of town with a lot of different kind of aliens. So I'm all for the aliens in Star Wars. So when we got to this area, I'm like, yes, this is Star Wars for me right here.
Oh, same here. I mean honestly, I think to me that was one of like the biggest weaknesses of the prequels. Like I just didn't think we had enough aliens in the prequels as a whole. And that's not just to like dog on the prequels. It's I just don't think we saw enough of them, honestly, especially after considering, the Republic came back, like, the Empire fell and stuff. So, you'd assume like more of like the alien species would be more out and about, and it just didn't seem like that.
Are you talking about the sequels or the prequels?
Oh no, sequels. My bad. Sequels.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, I must have said prequels, but I meant sequels. Like I just felt like we didn't see enough
oh my
aliens, like
gosh.
or alien
I
interaction.
I just noticed another new thing I've never seen before.
Hmm.
First off, I'm picking on a bantha on the left side of the screen as they're walking through, and I also seen an entire gang of swoop bike racers in the background for a second.
Oh yeah,
And
wow.
I'm like, oh my gosh, like the whole swoop bike is something that stems back from my love of Shadows of the Empire, you know. And every time I see a swoop bike, whether it be Mandalorian or whatever, I'm just like, yes, this is awesome. But yeah, this is what I mean. I love these dense crowd scenes in Star Wars because every time you watch, you can only focus on so many things at once, and you're always going to be bound to miss something as you're watching along.
We have to be ready for later on when we're here on Tatooine. When we see what's his name, the Jedi.
Oh, Quinlan Voss.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
mean he's
try to
later
point him
on.
out.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a scene where Anakin and Qui Gon and Jar Jar are walking. It's later on, but man, and one of the best parts too about just the whole sequence of like them coming into town. I don't know. It just feels like, well, now it harkens to Visions. Like it's like the whole like Western, like almost like Qui Gon's almost like the cowboy coming into town,
Yep,
like
yep,
or like
yep.
old samurai or whatever.
Yeah, so we got Star Wars Timeline joining the chat. Hey, how's it going, buddy? He's asking us real quick, point blank, what do you guys think of the Hayden Christensen return as Anakin? Today's announcement, I know we planned this video today, or the stream, thinking that we weren't going to have any news. So by the time I got the artwork out and everything, we were like, oh crap, we got this news like a couple hours before. So
Well,
we're going to spend a large amount of
I was
next
gonna
week
say,
talking about it. But I mean, our
uh,
first assumption is yes, I'm very excited for it. Going to you, Ben. I know it's a crappy
yeah,
answer,
no,
but
I was just gonna say, how about we just give our quick 45-second take on it, and then we'll save it for the next show. Like for me, I think the Hayden Christensen news is great. It basically, well, it confirms he's obviously in the Ahsoka show. He's going to be more involved in general with Star Wars, and it's great seeing them embracing Hayden after all these years. And to me and Chris were talking about this a little bit before our stream tonight. I think this basically confirms they're going to bring up Ahsoka, the Ahsoka show, and Hayden and Rosario and potentially Thrawn and Ezra at the Disney Plus Day here in about a month. And yeah, those are my kind of quick 40-second rundown
yeah,
on
my
Hayden.
quick rundown as well. We're gonna get Force Ghost Anakin most likely, which is pretty cool, and it leads me to wonder why he never showed up in the sequel trilogy, being he's gonna get all this awesome content on Disney Plus. Late is better than never, and now that this is happening, I gotta have a scene between Luke, Ahsoka, and Anakin Force Ghosts, like just a meeting of them, understanding what has transpired over the last, decade, basically, where they all fit, all the pieces, all of them fit. You gotta give me that scene. I mean, I don't say you got to, obviously. I don't want to be like that kind of fan, but I would love to see something like that happen. But yeah, we will. Very excited. We'll talk about it next week. But Watto, man, Watto is something else.
Yeah,
What a
what do you think
jerk.
about what do you think about his talking? To me, when it comes to like Watto, like don't get me wrong, it's obviously it's made for like everybody to understand. Like everyone, English is basically quote unquote basic in Star Wars. Even I mean old canon. I'm not sure exactly new canon if they classify it as basic anymore, but
They do. Yep.
base. Okay, so basic is basically like, hey, you better be an American. um, so like my thing is with the aliens, I've always had a little bit of an issue with it, the way they did it in the prequels, because I mean, in the original trilogy, like Jabba, he was subtitled, he was talking like an alien and stuff. and then Greedo was, and then we get to the prequel trilogy, and Watto's like talking in English. Um, Jar Jar's talking in English. Like all these aliens are talking in basic. Like to me, it's like I think it would have improved things if these aliens would have been talking in just some like non-English voice. Um, like that's one of the big things I liked about Sabula in this is that he talks like an alien. Like he's not talking in basic. Like he's talking in his like native tongue. Like that's great. Um, I just think that's a weakness of the prequels as a whole. Like the aliens not speaking their own tongue versus like just catering to us viewers.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, here on Tatooine. Oh, where's Quinlan Voss is coming up soon, I think.
He's coming up very soon.
But this is where some of the humor was that him right there.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
yeah. I'm pretty sure that was him in the background right
so
there.
if anybody's, he's right behind that, whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't want to distract too much from the conversation. But this is the area where Jar Jar starts to shine wrongly for certain people, right? Like he stepped in crap. He's messing around with the pit droids. He's eating stuff that he shouldn't be eating, getting himself in trouble. Like this is all that fodder for people to just make fun of Jar Jar and be like, this is why he doesn't belong in Star Wars, you know?
Yeah, it does. It kind of overpower to me. Like if you just say if Jar Jar is at like a 10 right now, if you dial him back to like a 6, I think things would be a lot better. To me, it almost takes away like I don't know from like the badassness of like Qui-Gon, if that makes sense, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
Like
like
I
he's
don't know.
trying to do all these serious like the drama and everything, and it's just like this guy's over here doing stuff like you would see on a comedy hour. Like okay,
Yeah, man. One thing, side note, with us watching this, seeing all this Liam Neeson, I just hope Liam Neeson is like the surprise like Mark Hamill was for Mando season 2.
you're right. We have gotten zero like rumblings at all. Like it's been so quiet. Like I completely forgot about that until you brought it up just now. I'm like, there's a
Yeah,
good chance he could show up. There was a
if he
leak.
does, pardon me.
There, not a leak. It was actually in an official book, like the Family of Star Wars, something by Kristen Baber, and it's like a autobiography of like the Skywalker family
Mhm.
or something. And apparently, like there's a passage that says like 10 years after Obi-Wan went into exile, he was able to commune with Qui-Gon Jinn. It's like, wait,
Yep.
what? They left that in the book. Like, wait, what? Like 10 years is literally exactly when the show is taking place. So like take that what you will, but I find that almost as like gospel for him showing up.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get him. I really do, or
He
at least the
has
voice.
like in one of the interviews, Liam Neeson just had at the ready for whatever reason his own lightsaber that he just showed off on camera. I mean, granted, like if you're in Star Wars, you're always gonna have your memorabilia, I guess, but the fact that he had it like ready to go on the camera means like, oh, maybe he's like inadvertently like, okay, I'm all about Star Wars right now. Like this is me. But
Oh yeah.
anyway,
Anyway, Obi-Wan
C3PO. We'll talk
speculation
about
show.
C3PO here.
Oh man, this is the one of the. I don't know. This is probably to me, like as a kid, I thought it was really cool. See, this is how your perspective changes a lot when you're watching these movies. As a kid, I thought it was cool that Anakin built 3PO. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was cool seeing 3PO without his coverings. I thought that was interesting. And then when you grow up, you're like, man, this is like the your neighbor next door thing. Like, oh, Darth Vader built 3PO. Like, okay. Um, and then like it's almost to me, it's almost shoehorned in just because it's like George Lucas trying to be funny, where it's like when 3PO says "Thank the Maker" in A New Hope, he's basically thanking Vader. So I don't know. I just thought it was basically George Lucas trying to be too cute with connections, and not a fan of it.
We have Aaron Daly. She's saying that Tatooine sets still stand in Tunisia. There are some awesome tour videos I've seen on YouTube. Wow, that's amazing because those would be standing for like well over 20 or 25 years at this point, probably. Because I know the ones in Mos Eisley or the original homestead like got really deteriorated over time from all the sandstorms
Yep.
and whatnot. But that's neat that they actually have like official tours like I know the director of Rogue One, Gareth Edwards, like his 30th birthday, I remember him saying in an interview, like he went to Tunisia to literally go to these Star Wars like monuments, basically. I was like, you know, this guy loves Star Wars when he does that. Like, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. No, that I mean, literally that's the reason why I would love to go there someday. Like that would be so cool to go and see those iconic spots. Like those places, I would love to go to the where they filmed Endor at for the other movies, like the place in California, the Redwood Forest. Like that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like those type of iconic locations are so neat. But I feel like this one, I feel like Tatooine as a whole is probably, I mean, next to space, I guess. But I mean, Tatooine as a whole is probably like the most quote unquote Star Wars. Like when you see the Mos Eisley stuff and the hut from Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, like those type of things, like you know that Star Wars.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Talking about pod racing on Malastare, that's where the Grands and the Dugs come from. You see that planet in the Clone Wars, that awesome Zillo Beast episode when the Zillo Beasts come out. That's Malastare for you.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that in Clone Wars.
And this is cool. This is where you see like Anakin having the street smarts, right? Like he's a slave on this planet, but he recognizes Qui-Gon as a Jedi by his laser sword, and you know he knows the stories. The Jedi at this point they're still well around the galaxy, but it's still almost like a myth when you find one, right? There's only like 10,000 Jedi in the entire galaxy or something like that. So him actually seeing one and kind of like fanning out like, oh man, this is cool. I heard these stories and all this kind of thing. And then Qui-Gon's like, he's talking about how, the Coruscant and Republic and all this kind of stuff. A little exposition, pretty cool stuff.
Oh yeah, no, that was always one of the coolest things. Like as a kid, like because as a kid when you're watching it, that's like us kids like going, oh wow, you have a laser sword.
Exactly. So I like the set here with just everything going on in the background. It's very much lived in, but it's sad, because these people are literally slaves. At least they're slaves that are somewhat treated good enough to like not being obviously like cages or something like that. They have their own homes, right? Their own little apartments, but they still have to do we know what Shmi was doing for like work? Because
Um,
Anakin was, working with Watto all the time. Wonder what she was up to.
I'm not sure what she was doing, but I mean, I know God, I mean, I know they have like trackers in them where they'll it's like the Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, Jar Jar. I'm thinking Anakin tells Jar Jar about it later, doesn't he? Where he's like, "They'll blow you up, like if you try to leave or whatever he
Yeah,
says."
yeah, yeah. Yeah. But, I like what he's doing here, Anakin, just very sentimental. I think he's Jake Lloyd, poor guy. I mean, he got so much flack for this role, and it didn't go very well for his psyche, I guess we could say.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
he definitely went down not the straight and narrow path.
I really do feel like they added those banthas in recently because I really don't feel like I've seen them before.
No, it's been. No, I feel like they had to have gotten added because I don't remember them.
That's the magic of ILM for you, man. Like every iteration, they add a little bit of this, a little bit of that, just to modernize it a little bit more.
Yep.
And one of the things that like people always say, and it's so true, it's like you got the Clone Wars that rage on for 3 years. You got all the battle droids. It'd be really cool to like watch Empire Strikes Back and see the scene in Cloud City where there's all the droid scraps and maybe just, digitally input like a battle droid head every once in a while. Because you got to know that
Yep.
these droids are all over the freaking place. So it's like, I would like to see them go in and digitally enhance. Like, just like one or two throughout the trilogy. It's just like it could be like make it more conformed. Like, hey, we got the battle droids. They were a big deal. They didn't just disappear.
I mean, there were probably like
Yeah.
hundreds of millions of battle droids. Like, that's a lot of scrap metal.
Well, we seen in the Bad Batch, right? They were burning
Yeah,
down all the droids.
yeah,
So at least they're kind of retconning or acknowledging that in a fashion. But I mean, they can't get every single droid. They're like we see in the books. Like a lot of times in the books where you don't visually see, they'll have that. Or in a lot of the comic books, like Poe Dameron comics, there was like a assassin droid and like all that stuff. But like I would like to see it like enhanced in the feature movies somehow, like retroactively.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, I feel like they could, like you said, easily. I mean, heck, in Mando, they literally removed a guy who was in the background who was wearing normal street clothes. Like, if you
Yeah.
can do that, you can do just about anything.
Hey, Chris. Chris Forsyth is in the chat. For everybody that's joining us, we are currently at 46 minutes and 18 seconds, right at the place where Obi-Wan is talking to Qui-Gon. There's a sandstorm, so they're both separated. So there you go. Right around the 46 and a half minute mark there. But this is where
Thanks for the reminder.
Qui-Gon has a conversation about his son, about her son Anakin and all this, and they're working on the pod racer.
Thanks for the reminder. Funny story for the chat. I was sitting here, I was staring at the screen. I was like, "What is up?" And I didn't realize I accidentally bumped my mouse and it paused the screen. And I was sitting here staring at it for like a minute. I was like, "What is going on?"
That's where the group watch feature might have worked on Disney Plus better for us because like stuff can happen. Like within the first 5 minutes of me doing this, I like fast forwarded by like 30 minutes and had to like go back and find my spot
I've
again.
I've never tried the group watch thing before, but we can try that next time.
Yeah. I tried it once, but it was sort of buggy for me.
All right. Well, if not, we can just do it this way. It's easier. Um, but I do feel like out of all the people in the Phantom Menace, I feel like the actress who plays Shmi does a pretty good job.
Yeah, I feel like she's definitely the forgotten actor in this movie. Like, I honestly couldn't tell you what the actress's name was, and it wasn't until Star Wars Celebration Chicago where I started hearing the name because it was around the 20th anniversary of Phantom Menace, and I'm like, all right, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I don't even know who they were talking about. Like, oh, it's me. Like, I don't have that name connected to memory. Like, I can tell you all the main cast members, no problem, but like, when it comes to her, I just can't ever remember her name.
Yeah. I mean, and you know the crazy thing about her, what got me really looking into her character a few years ago was that the comic where it was Palpatine behind her and like her stomach was like lit up with the Force or whatever.
Her name is
If you
Pernelia August. Pernelia August.
Yeah, I don't know her for any other projects.
Oh. Oh man, but the good old Kitster, man, good old Kitster. I know there's a big joke on Star Wars show where they mention the Kitster every once in a while. Maybe we'll see him in Obi-Wan show. Who knows?
Oh man. Hey,
Yeah, good
maybe
old
hey
Kitster.
maybe that's what Ahsoka has to meet up with Kitster for something in the Ahsoka show.
He would be really old. He would be like in his 50s, I think.
He would be Anakin's actually,
Yeah.
yeah. He'd be late 40s or 50s, yeah. He could still be working on pods.
Now, this Rhodian guy, I thought he was always Greedo. Was it always Greedo? But I think it's somebody else. They retconned it. It's not
No,
Greedo now.
it's retcon. It's not Greedo anymore. It's someone else. But as a kid, I said, "Oh, that's Greedo."
Yeah, right. We just it's funny because like there's the Rhodian species, and in the original trilogy, like there's like two or three Rhodians wearing the same outfit, and yet they're not Greedo. Like they're technically different characters, but they all have like the vest and the green shirt or whatever. I'm like, really? They got lazy. They were just like, all right, we're just gonna call this Greedo. This guy's this other guy, and it's like, okay.
Oh yeah. Now Greedo, he's an interesting character. Even
Uh,
though they changed his whole thing in the cantina again.
Man, that is an ugly scar. Did you see like how much blood he has on his arm? Like, what did
Hmm.
Qui-Gon do to Anakin's arm, man? Like, he had this big gash in his arm. Like, does it
So,
take that kind of,
gosh,
like, power to go in for the Metachlorians? Like, what is going on? Like, he didn't look
it's
like
the
he
whole
needed
thing, and
stitches from that wound.
the whole thing of going to the doctor. Oh, Mr. Vane. Oh, Mr. Vane. Oh, Mr. Vane. Oh, Mr. Vane.
And then you pass out like me because they missed your vein too many times. Like, that's what I said. Don't do that. Oh man, but yeah, this is the infamous Metachlorian count. This is what changed everybody's opinion on the Force overnight.
See, yeah, this is where I was like, wait, what? Because I remember, like, even as a kid, I was like, I don't know. As a kid, I don't, however you analyze concepts and stuff, but I thought, to me, I always viewed the Force, as like spiritual, and then this is basically making it something not spiritual
Yeah, exactly. So what they're doing is they're quantifying
or
the
quantifying. Yeah,
Force.
that's the word.
They're
Yeah,
quantifying it by a
I don't
number,
like that.
whereas like the way Obi-Wan described it was like it's more of it's like a mysticism thing. It's more of a spiritual, like you said. So I think that's the main thing that people get aggravated by. But I think that in the years since they've kind of added more layers to the midichlorians to make it like, okay, I can understand this a little bit easier now. The way they've like added in other story elements revolving, like for instance, like midichlorian, they don't call it the midichlorian, but they call it the M count in Mandalorian. You're like, oh yeah, the Grogu's M count is whatever. So
Yeah. Well, that's like even, if you look at the sequels, I feel like the Force is definitely more framed in a spiritual way in the sequels than it was in the prequels, in my opinion.
oh yeah, mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, the whole quantification, I just that does not sit well with me for all three of these movies because it's just like, so what? Basically, like you're just mark you down on chart. Oh, let's add some more midichlorians into you. Like I don't know.
Yeah, interesting, but this is neat. Like,
Yeah.
this is a neat scene here revolving around Qui-Gon being the maverick kind of Jedi that he is, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of like he goes down paths for the Jedi that are a little bit murkier. Like, for instance, he's influencing the situation with Anakin. Like, he uses the Force to get the chance cube to go on Anakin, right? Like, that's like okay, he's like skating the line in that
Well,
gray
I mean, he's
Jedi
using it for his
area.
basically own personal gain. Like,
Yep, exactly, exactly. Man, stuff like this is like I wish we'd seen more of Qui-Gon, you know?
man, I know. Just seeing every time I watch Phantom Menace, I'm like, can't you just let Darth Maul run off and leave Qui Gon for Episode 2?
Blue, it's the boy. Red, his mother.
I actually had a game with that, a Star Wars game with that chance cube in it.
Ah. Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
I,
like people were saying you could buy them at Galaxy's Edge, which would be that would be something I would like to buy, something little like that.
yeah,
There we go again. We have the image of the Twi'lek females as the people that go and attend to the guys with money. like with Jabba the
yeah.
Hutt or Sepulba.
uh,
A classic Star Wars trope there.
hey, gotta. Hey, I mean, they're strong women going after money. I mean,
Yeah.
if that's your prerogative, have at it.
Oh man. But yeah, I like just looking at the background here. Another great crowd scene, them in that maintenance hangar with all the pod racers being worked on. Again, all the different alien types that we haven't really seen before that are brand new. I've been seeing a lot of Nyctos, the Hutts
Yep.
enforcers and different things like that. Then you see the Sith probe droids. I love these darn things. These things are so cool.
Hmm. I
Little
love
inquisitive droids.
Oh yeah, I actually had, again, all my Lego references. I had literally all of these pod racers,
Wow. You
like
had all the pod
like all the
racers?
all the main pod racers
Oh
like
my gosh.
Sebulba's, Ben Quadraneros, all those people. Ben Quadranero I know so much because as a kid I was like, oh, he has my name. But
I love Ben Quadraneros, man. He's so cool. I just like how he's the only person that has like the four thrusters on his pod racer. That makes
yeah,
us so unique. Like, okay, automatically that guy's cool. He's got four engines, all right?
oh yeah, he was great.
And this is where I have those fond memories of the Star Wars Pod Racer game on the N64 and me just playing the hell out of that game.
Oh yeah,
It recently came to the Switch too, so I'm able to play that on my Switch.
oh yeah. No, that game was a classic. It's literally so much fun.
You got the good old pit droids. So I'm not even sure what kind of aliens some of these are. Oh, that's one of them from Solo. I remember that like platypus looking guy with the goggles.
Yeah, I was gonna say the platypus. Excuse me, the platypus guy. Yeah, he was from Solo, or well, not specifically that
Well, it's
character, but
yeah.
species.
But yeah, like you were saying, like the sequel trilogy did a good job of like really implementing new designs, but I wish they could have used more prequel aliens or just
Yeah.
aliens in general from like originals and prequels.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Well, one of the biggest things, like you said, like I love when there all these scenes with the pod race, like pod race, like all the scenes in Attack of the Clones, like whenever they're panning over crowds or big wide scoping shots, like I'm always like looking like, oh man, let's look for another alien.
oh yeah, Aaron saying on my 18th birthday, me and my friends saw us at the IMAX for its 10th anniversary. Watching the pod race scene at that theater was definitely the best part. Now, I'm thinking back, Aaron, if you're still in the chat, was that also the 3D showing? Because I seen the Phantom Menace
Oh
in
yeah.
3D, and that was really cool, especially for the pod racing scene. It was amazing.
Yeah, so the 18 years from that would be 2017, or no, 10 years after that would be 2011.
Oh wait, Phantom Menace came out in 1999.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think that was the year that it was in 3D, I believe, because yeah. Yep, she
I feel like
said
I
that
was
was the 3D. Yeah, that was awesome. That was before we even knew about Disney owning Star Wars and us getting like a whole bunch of new movies. So at that time, it was like, yeah, And then I know there's people at Star Wars Celebration. I believe seen Attack of the Clones in 3D and Revenge of the Sith
yeah.
in 3D, which never got released like in the theaters like that way. We've only ever seen Episode One that way. Real quick, funny, cool thing. The Jabba the Hutt scene that we just seen actually has Matthew Wood as Bib Fortuna, who ended up playing him like 20 years later in the season-ending credits of Mandalorian season 2. So it's pretty cool that that guy literally had like the longest bout of like wearing that costume from like Phantom Menace. And he gets back into costume 20 years later.
Oh yeah, no, I love that they let him come back to step in for it again.
Here we go. This is a great precursor to the race, right? You're seeing everybody starting their engines. You're seeing like the quick shots of like the consoles, and George Lucas just has such a great way of being, the cinematics and just getting you ready and hyped up for this big ass event here. Just the scale of
Well,
these engines and the sounds.
well, a lot of this stuff, I mean, as you would know, Chris, and anybody like that's not like super young, like during this time period, like the late '90s, early 2000s was like, I would say a lot of like the hype and popularity of NASCAR and stuff.
Yeah.
So, Lucas for sure I'm sure took inspiration from NASCAR for this whole sequence.
Oh yeah, Lucas. That was one of the biggest interests he had as a kid was racing cars
Yeah,
around. So,
racing. Yep.
so there's a reference in this to Solo with that character played by the Ewok guy. What is it? Warwick Davis. He
Warwick
has that
Davis. Yep.
character next to Jabba the Hutt. That character right there by Watto. He's pointing,
Yep.
and he actually ends up in Solo as like one of FS Nest crew.
Hmm.
So there you go. There's your
That's
another little canon tidbit.
well.
But
It's
I
good
like
they're
this.
making connections like that.
It is so I love those connections, long running 20-year connections. That's pretty neat. They have like those tablets just watching everything go by.
This was before. I
Yeah.
mean, think about it. I mean, like those tablets were before tablets were a thing.
Yeah. And now it's like, oh wow, we actually have those in real life.
Yeah.
I love again the cinematography of this, getting that first person perspective and seeing the crazy amounts of speed. Remember, like Qui-Gon said, like, oh, there's our thing, here's our 2 seconds of fame.
Yep. I was
Um,
gonna say or saying.
seeing how he's got to be force sensitive to be able to fly this ship because no human being could do it. Only a certain species of alien is able to navigate through these things. So, and we see that speed right here. They do a great job of giving us that velocity and the kinetic speed of which these vehicles are moving.
Oh yeah, no, just the whole just the how fast they move, the different again, they really did well on like the cinematography of the ships themselves. Like that's one of the biggest things the biggest takeaways really because you could have had a lot of static shots, especially considering like it being the late 90s, but George Lucas definitely pushed the like the proverbial like pedal to the metal for this scene or for this whole
Oh yeah,
sequence.
yeah. It's all about storyboards. Just planning these things as if they're a comic book. Like each angle is like depicted in like a little square, and that's how storyboards are basically done for the most part to get the
Yep.
visualization down, and then they go out and shoot it. And mind you, like this is a big, big needle mover for the movie. Interesting because this is one of the first like movie that does these kind of digital effects. Period. Like the whole thing with Jar Jar, they did that before Gollum in Lord of the Rings. So they really pioneered that,
Yeah.
and just so much stuff on the blue screens. Which, mind you, yeah, some of the actors like even Ewan McGregor himself has not been a huge fan of the way they shot these movies, just because it's like not a lot of it is very interactive
Well, he
for the
said that
sake
as
of,
of just recently, like in
yeah.
that interview that happened over the summer, we covered that interview, and he basically said, yeah, like, we were just walking around looking at blue screens, like,
Oh man, the craziness of Star Wars, right? I love those establishing shots that George Lucas just sprinkles in, like, instead of the guy giving you popcorn, you have this weird four-armed alien giving you like dead carcasses on a stick. Just
hmm
like, just trying to normalize giving you dead aliens on a stick. It's just that's Star Wars for you right there.
yeah, it's probably a good. I mean, it's probably like wings, I guess.
Everybody went with five
Whatever.
dollars for your little frog dog. Hey, what's frog dogs for $5?
They could have some cooked up pork wings.
Oh man, yeah. So this is cool top-down angle. I just love the creativity. Again, we keep talking about, but this is definitely one of the best moments in the Phantom Menace. This moment right here, the pod race, this and the duel with Darth Maul are easily the most recognizable moments in this movie as far as like action sequences go. Right?
Yep. Oh yeah, I think these the sequence with Maul. I also thought in terms of marketing and advertising, even as a kid, I remember, and just now, like what I associate with this movie is the scene from. I mean, they showed it in the trailers and stuff, like the scene where all the droids activate, the heads come up,
Yep.
like those three are probably the three biggest, most to me, anyways, the most iconic moment or like scenes from this movie.
Like the amount of ingenuity that a 10-year-old kid has to be able to like keep his pod racer together at like 500 miles an hour, like using some magnetic arm to reattach onto his engine. Like This kid's a freaking genius, and he's got to be force sensitive. He's got to be a chosen one to be able to pull this stuff off.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like you said, he's 10 years old.
Like, geez, what was I doing when I was 10 years old? Playing the episode
Watching,
1 racing game.
yeah,
That is about it.
yeah, and crashing it too.
Yeah. That and playing with action figures. Meanwhile, this kid's like working as a maintenance person in a shop, and eventually becomes a Jedi Padawan by the end of this. So it's crazy.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so hold on. Continue. Um, I was just looking up something.
Yep. So we're getting to the final lap here. Now there was two different versions of the pod race, right? Like there's the regular theatrical, then there's an extended. Now I don't know the difference, to be honest with you. I don't know if we're watching here the extended that's already in the movie,
Mhm.
or we have to access that somehow how else.
I I'm pretty sure that's well, I'll just have to see the shots. Let's see. Oh, I was
This
just
is
reading.
amazing.
So the official speed of a pod racer top end speed is 435 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how you'd react doing that, flying through canyons and stuff.
Yeah, the time you have to react is you got to have force reflexes to do that. That's insane. But just the shooting of the actual environments, like it's beautiful. This desert. I don't know where they filmed this specific, feature of the film, but man, oh man,
Hmm.
it's nice being out on set like this.
Oh yeah,
And
man, I
something I
haven't.
just noticed now is they didn't kick in the music until now. Like
Yeah.
that whole sequence was just nothing but raw sound effects from the pod racers, which I think really gets you like locked in, like, okay, what's happening? This almost feels like a real life event, you know what I mean? And then when it matters, like right now, they start peppering in that amazing John Williams score just when it's like mano a mano, Anakin versus Sebulba, the last lap of the race, like Anakin's ship is damaged, like it's on fire, and it's just like the music is coming in and it's like getting you hyped. Like
Oh
he
yeah,
knows
for
just
sure. Like,
how to measure this excitement level.
well, I think this is the moment in the movie, this final like lap, I guess, or sequence overall. It's the moment like showing to us, like, sure, you could be like, oh yeah, that's Anakin, he has the Force, duh. But this is like the moment in the movie. I feel like this whole sequence confirms to us as an audience viewer, like, yeah, that kid has the Force.
Right? Yeah, you're right. This is our first, like, guys, this little kid's gonna end up being Darth Vader. He's gonna end up finding a
Yeah,
TIE fighter advance through the Death Star, almost killing Luke Skywalker in A New Hope. So
yeah,
this
he's
is where he
he's
gets
got
his
about
skills, man. He's always had them.
yeah. I mean, he's got about 13 years before Master Skywalker. There are too many of them. uh, oh
Yeah, I guess
man.
so. Oh, the crowd shots get me.
Oh, I love the crowd shots.
But look at the size of Sebulba's pod racer compared to Anakin's. Like, thing is like so much larger. Look at the size of the engines. Like,
Oh,
dear.
I always was a big fan of Sebulba's engine, like the noise of it. I always thought it sounded pretty cool.
Now in the video game, I believe he had a special way to like shoot flamethrowers like out of the side of his ship, right?
Yep, yep. In the video game, he'd shoot flamethrowers out of the side of it, and I'm pretty sure like that was definitely a thing. I mean, because the Lego set had that too, actually.
Hmm.
It did. The Lego set had little like clear like fire things you could attach to the edge of Sebulba's pod racer.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's like an actual feature if we're going off Lego sets here in video games.
I guess maybe that was a scene they were thinking about doing, but they decided not to.
Yeah.
I mean, Sebulba did enough damage already by throwing different mechanisms and hitting different levers and whatnot.
Oh yeah. I actually had Anakin's little helmet back too when I was younger. That was a cool thing as a kid.
Oh, you were actually like a wearable helmet?
Yeah, it was literally like the full blown, like it was a helmet you put on, like the eyeglasses like click down or whatever, and you had like the little like the thing behind your head and all that stuff. Like it was a full blown like
Whoa.
actual wearable like cosplay type helmet deal.
That is so cool. I would have
Yeah, I
loved
had
to have
that.
that.
Oh yeah, I thought that was cool. Um, and one of my cousins actually had like the Naboo starfighter pilot helmet thing with the
Oh,
really weird glasses. Yeah,
yeah.
like he had one of those, and I remember I was like, man, I wish I had that. And like I always tried to trade him, but he was like, no, I this is way cooler than that thing.
Yeah, so right behind Qui-Gon Jinn there, looks just like Jabba's palace, doesn't it? Like
Yep.
I, as a kid, I was like, oh, I guess the city's like right near Jabba's palace because
See,
the
that's what I
architecture.
thought too. That's what I thought seeing that shot too. I mean, it does look like Jabba's palace.
But here we go. We get a little bit more Obi-Wan. Poor Obi-Wan being cooped up on the Royal Starship for all those hours. It's like, all right, where's Qui-Gon? Oh, he's bringing his boy along. We were supposed to get the hyperdrive fixed. What's this kid doing here?
Oh yeah, I mean Obi-Wan wasn't a fan of him. I mean from the get-go because what's his direct word line? He says we picked up another pathetic life form or whatever,
Yeah, uh-huh.
something like that, or useless
Yep,
life form. I think. Like
yep. I guess what her
now,
profession could be is like repairing things.
oh
Because it
yeah, I
looks like
guess
she's
so.
got like a work table with like a computer and stuff. So maybe she just like has to repair a bunch of junk for Watto or something.
Yeah. Now, do you think? So was Obi-Wan like to you? Is Obi-Wan an apprentice in this, or is he just a knight basically, or just like really? Is he? Is he at knighthood yet, or did he become a knight in terms of just convenience of the film? Like,
No, no, no. He's a Padawan still.
is he? Man, God, he just feels like a knight even just throughout this
Well, no,
thing.
because he's got his braid, doesn't he? He's got the
Oh yeah,
braid.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he has a braid. I don't know. It just I feel like even if this movie wouldn't have happened, I think Obi Wan was like one day away from basically graduation. Like,
Yeah,
I think
because
he
I
was
mean,
very close.
well, the way that like the Jedi Academy or whatever on Coruscant is like you're basically from youngling until like, well, if we're looking at the High Republic, for instance, the earliest Jedi Knight was 15 years old. That was Vernestra Rowe. So that's at the early stages. Like there's one guy that's
Mm,
like 19 or something
mm,
or something that's like I still am not a Jedi Knight. So like you could be pretty old to become a Jedi Knight
man,
still.
yeah. Well, I feel like Obi Wan's like a day away. Was regardless of what was happening in this, I feel like he was like a day away from graduation, probably. I mean, it was alluded to earlier. I mean, Qui Gon.
The trials,
Um,
right?
yeah, I would say Qui Gon pretty much mentions he's taught him everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like the trials are different for every Jedi. It's not like you go to an obstacle course and be like, "Hey, I passed the trials, make me a Jedi Knight." No, like the Master
That's
deems the trials and tribulations and the barriers that you have to pass, and they're like, "That was a very difficult thing. I'm gonna make you a knight now."
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, like in terms of canon and stuff. Like that's something I've never really understood. So is quote unquote trial? So is it just like determined by Qui-Gon if he didn't get killed? Would it be just determined by him, or is it like the council going, "Hey, Obi-Wan, you're assigned to go, I don't know, do a little mission or something."
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
it also depends, I guess, on the current climate situation.
mm,
Right. If it's like a middle of a war, they're probably going to expedite the process so you can have like less restrictions. So they'd be like, "Hey, the Clone Wars
yeah,
have started. We're not going to have you guys go through as much stuff so you can get out there on the
yeah,
forefront of the battle faster." You know what I mean? But if it's like during like the
yeah.
High Republic or a time like this in a relative amount of peace, they'll probably be like, "All right, keep it going, keep it going." We know Qui Gon is like somebody that's probably wants to keep him as a Padawan as long as he can,
Yeah,
just to learn more, I guess. It's up to him to like finally say, okay, I'm gonna let you go free, kind of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, this is a scene that's sad, you know, like him leaving his mother and all, because we know what happens down the road, and he doesn't have a chance to reconcile with her, and so it's a pretty tragic moment, especially more now looking back in hindsight.
Yeah. John Williams' music in this scene, though, 5 star.
Yep, yep, yep.
Just think this is planting the seeds of Darth Vader right here.
Yeah, this is a total turning point, you know, because right
I
here
mean,
he,
just well. Here's the thing to think about it too. Like, so like this, you literally, it's literally like you just being, you looking up to somebody, them randomly show like an actor. Let's just say an actor, or not even an actor, someone. I don't know, whoever would be considered a hero these days. Not many, not a lot of people, not a lot of public people, um, let's say a firefighter, like a firefighter showing up to your house, you them doing something, and then basically saying, "Hey, 10-year-old, come with me to be a firefighter. Leave your family." Like that's a huge thing. You're just going with a whole stranger, basically. Like I
hmm
don't know. It's crazy to think a 10-year-old can like even potentially comprehend. Like then again, I guess it's the whole excitement of like looking up to a Jedi. Like I guess if Jedi were real, I guess that'd probably be a lot of our reactions too.
Oh man, I love this scene. Like he just says Anakin duck, and then Anakin down goes and Maul. It's just like this epic scene, man.
Oh yeah, it's just
Uh
boom, boom, boom. It's so quick,
it's
and
just
like
so
to me,
quick.
it's a perfect introduction to the Sith, like returning. Like, hey,
Yes.
we're back.
Just the way he like flips off the speeder and just instantly just in combat with Qui-Gon, like, and
Yeah.
like you see how much
Well,
like Qui-Gon is struggling. He has to
oh yeah. Well,
escape on the
that's one.
ship.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I always like joked around about. Like, I was like, man, Darth Maul's speeder bike just goes flying.
I
You're in
love
the
the
middle of the
design of
desert.
that speeder bike though. It's
Oh
sleek, it's
yeah.
different, it's like a half moon. It's really neat.
Oh yeah. The
Huh.
funniest thing back in the day, like Hasbro released a set where it was Maul and Qui-Gon. It was this scene. It was like really realistic. It was almost Black Series figures esque. Like they looked realistic. And what you would do is like at the bottom of the set, you'd press things and it would move Maul and Qui-Gon back and forth like this,
Oh.
like fighting, like they would move. And the thing is, like they were figures, but they were planted and like the mechanics were in the base of the thing, so you couldn't take the figures out. So you literally could
Uh
just move them back and forth, but it would move their lightsabers back and forth, like they
oh.
were fighting. Yeah, it was a cool little thing by Hasbro back in the day.
They had so many iterations of different designs of toys back then, you know, so many
Mhm.
creative ventures, and some things worked, some things didn't. But one of the things I recall, but the original mall packaging action figures is everything came with that voice chip ID thing, right? And you have
Yep,
like
the
you would
voice
buy your
chips.
separate communication device, and you would slide them in there, and it would have like lines from the action figures.
Yep,
Classic
yep.
right there.
Now, man, Obi-Wan. Just thinking about this, Obi-Wan's really taking a young apprentice on, or like a guy or an apprentice who's not even that much younger than him.
Oh yeah, that's the difference, right? And he's way too old to be a Padawan even at this point. So to
Yeah.
start training
Oh
as
yeah.
a as an apprentice or whatever.
See, I mean, it bleeds over into the other movies, but it's more of like, it's basically like, hey, you're training your buddy. Like,
Because the problem is like he's got these attachments that other Jedi don't have, right? When Jedi are
mhm.
taken from their parents, they're infants. They don't have really any memories at all of their parents because they're that young. Whereas he has 10 years of memories with his mother. That's one of the things that sends him off the deep end, which is why the Jedi never wanted to do this because, like, he's
Yeah,
already got those attachments with his mother, and his attachments also stem on the hatred for him losing his wife. which he shouldn't have
Yeah.
had to begin with. So all these things just snowball in effect, and you see why the Jedi were wise to say, hey, these people shouldn't be Jedi at this
Yeah.
age.
That's another thing. That just brings up a whole discussion of like the ethics of the Jedi. Like you're you know what I mean? Like you're taking kids away, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a weird conversation just because it's like you're
Yeah.
taking them away for your cult. It's basically like a cult. Like you're taking them away for a cult religion, basically. Like I don't know. It's a
Yeah, because you
weird thing to
have
think
the
about.
Jedi, the Seekers, which is in canon. These are the people, like, there's one from Jedi Fallen Order. The
Yeah.
mentor of Cal Kestis is what they call a Seeker. They go all over the galaxy, and they're just like, now I don't know what the conversation could even be like, right? It's like, hey, I am part of the Jedi Order, and we are here to take your daughter or son or whomever with us. And it's like, do they have a say? Can they be like, no, you're not? Or be like, that's just an unwritten law in the galaxy. When you have a kid, there's a chance that it could be force sensitive and you might lose a kid. Like, that's assumed.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know more about that.
Yeah, that is I would love to hear like something like that and can like a real that could be a cool canon story, like potentially like a family pushing back against it or something.
Yeah.
Just because if you think about it, like in real life, like okay, my sister just had a baby recently. Like, what if a cult group just showed up at her front door and said, "Hey, we're here to take your kid, and you're never going to see them again." Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh,
It's crazy to think about.
yeah. And I think, like, you put it through the lens of, like,
Yeah,
these are the saviors of the galaxy. These are the keepers of the peace.
yeah,
And in that day and age, we can't understand what that's like because we don't have living Jedi in our world. But, like,
yep.
these are like the superpowered people of the world, and at the time, most people thought these were really good people. Like you think of the Jedi as
Well,
upstanding citizens, they're not doing any bad stuff. Like they're gonna save people's lives, and then so
well,
for some people that might be an honor for their family to be like, hey, our son ended up being a Jedi master and saved all these people from this horrible death and brought in another planet to the Republic, which is aiding the entire Republic and making everybody more profit. So there could be like good success stories, but there's always going to be those people that probably pushed back and were like, I don't care, like this is my son, you know?
that would I'm telling you that would be a good canon story. I think if they would do something like that. Um, let's see.
Aaron Daly is saying there was a one book I read where a group referred to Jedi as baby snatchers. Can't remember the name of the book
Oh
though.
wow. See, I'm pretty sure I've heard that before too. Yeah, that was in a book. I don't remember what book that was, but I've heard that too. And that wasn't too long ago. I feel like that was that maybe something in canon? I swear I feel like I've heard that in the last 6 months.
But then you also had Palpatine in the Clone Wars and in Rebels seeking either himself or agents around the galaxy to get babies to like have force
Yeah.
experiments on.
Well, I mean, I guess to flip all of our ethical conversations on its head, I mean, in terms of the High Republic, though, Chris, like, wouldn't the people of the citizens of the galaxy potentially be fine with the Jedi based on what happens in the High Republic? Like, be fine with them taking their kids to potentially, like you said, be for the greater good.
Yeah, so yeah, I haven't heard anything specific related to that.
But it's like leading up to it potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Now this is Palpatine's chambers, correct? In the Red Room.
Uh, yes,
So
I
it's interesting.
believe
I've been
that's
keeping a keen eye on the background, looking at. There's a statue right there. It looks like some weird ancient alien statue because we know that Palpatine collected a lot of ancient Sith relics and whatnot. So every time we see a scene with him, and I'm going through with a magnifying glass, looking at the stuff in the background. Oh, this
oh
is
yeah.
our first
No, that's
look. Go ahead.
oh go on. No,
I
go
was
ahead,
just gonna
Chris.
say this is our first look at the Jedi Council, and we know there's a lot of High Republic members that are actually on this very scene. In this very scene, we have Yariel Poof. He's on the Jedi Council 200 years prior. Um, we also have Opus Rancis or Rancis Opus, that
Yep.
little snake guy. Yaddle. She's also in the High Republic, so it's neat. Like this is the scene that you really can see. Like okay, there's a lot of Jedi that are very old.
Yep. I'm pretty sure she's not confirmed to be dead either. I think she's missing in action, right?
Yeah, we haven't had any stories on anything about her or if she's dead or
And
not. Yeah.
I feel like that could be a wild card for the Mandoverse.
And it's interesting. Oh, there's Kanan Jarrus's master, Depa
Oh,
Billaba.
yep. I say Depa Billaba.
But as far as with her in the High Republic, she actually speaks and it's not Yoda speech. So that was a big thing where it's like, okay, not all of Yoda's species have to talk in riddles or backwards.
Mm,
She speaks regular basic pretty well from what I've read. So it's like, okay, maybe Grogu will speak like a regular human or whatever, regular
yeah.
basic.
It's one thing I don't think we'll ever hear Grogu speak.
No?
I don't. Or if we do, it'll be like the last, like whenever the Mando finale, like the series finale is. Like I don't think because I think as soon as you add him speaking, it takes away the cuteness of him going like like. And also, you just have to nail the voice. Whoever does the voice for Grogu, it has to be nailed perfectly, or it'll be weird.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But well, hey, Grogu's around right now, right? Technically.
He would be. Yeah, let's see if he's 50 years in The Mandalorian. That's 5 years after that. Another 20. Yeah, he's like in his mid 20s right now. Even though
Yeah.
he's an
So yeah,
infant.
Grogu. So he is training right now as we speak. He is somewhere in this movie in the background.
Yeah, well, actually, at this point, he's probably. Yeah. 10 years after
Yeah.
Phantom Menace. Oh, but anyway, I don't want to do that on the
Yeah. No,
podcast.
that's a whole different. Yeah, that's a whole different discussion.
But this is neat,
Um.
right? Seeing the Republic, like we've always heard, there's been thousands of systems, and if you look at the background, there's probably a good thousand or so of like this separate little floatable, like chamber things that come out to speak on the floor. I think it's a really cool idea too, how like they have the two opposing parties like fly into the middle in front of
Yeah.
everybody, and then you have the big chancellor there. It's a really neat way of like representing and visualizing like the way things are done in the Republic as far as like making the deals and all that.
Oh yeah. No, I remember as a kid, and even now, it's like, man, that's like a interesting representation of like when Congress meets and stuff because everyone's sitting at their own desks and everything. Um. Now Lucas is in here somewhere, right?
No, that's Revenge of the Sith. He plays
Oh,
Baron
that's Revenge of the Sith.
Papanoida
Yeah.
in front of the Opera House.
Oh yeah. No, I'm pretty sure Lucas is in one of these halls though. One of these. It might be in Revenge of the Sith as well, but you can literally see in one of the pods because I've seen it. I've seen the screenshot. I've paused it before, but in one of the pods you can see Lucas and Rick McCollum and another one of the producers in the pods. Like it's
Whoa.
very tiny. Yeah, but I've 100% seen that before. I don't know if it's in this one or episode 2 or episode 3, but it's in one of these 3 movies
Wow.
because
So
it's whichever one has the ET. He's by the ETs is
I was about
whichever
to
one has.
say there's going to be an ET one in here somewhere.
Okay, well, Lucas's one I'm pretty sure is like right next to the ETs, or like right below it. I believe
Yeah.
is what it was.
I want to know what happens to Chancellor Valorum. Like we see him in the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah,
We see him
yeah,
for
he was
one
in the
little bit in the
Clones.
Clone Wars. Like that's such a big deal. Like the guy literally got fired on the spot. Like the leader
I,
of
I
the
mean, think,
government literally just got fired.
I mean that's literally like the leader of the galaxy, isn't he? I mean,
Yes.
basically.
Just like that. I feel like there was no delegation. It wasn't like this long drawn out like 6 month to a year impeachment process or something like that. It's like literally she goes in there, is like, yeah, my planet is in crisis. This guy's not helping me. Let's vote him out. And they're like, okay, he's out. It's like, really? That's all it took? That's all it took
Oh
to
yeah, no,
topple the freaking leader of the government?
it's wild. Yeah, there's not even consideration.
But this is neat, right? We're seeing him just go, but this is where we get our first look at the Jedi, but you know, we think of the Jedi as like, oh, these great warriors and everything else, and it's just these old people just sitting and delegating around the room. It's like no action, or just sitting there. Yeah, that's kind of one of the pieces to the fall of the Jedi that we've keep been, you know, hearing about. Their dogmatic ways, they're set in their own ways, and they're not, you know, really
What's the
going out
word?
and doing anything.
What's the word they used? Oh, hubris. Hubris. That's the word. It is pretty crazy to think like a lot of the stuff we see is like blue screen, but it's really well done.
Oh my gosh, like just seeing Coruscant, all those ships. I'm like, I can't wait for New York City to look like this.
I
Because
know,
I'm
right?
in New York City, I'm like, oh come on, there's got to be a way to like get air traffic around here. I'm tired of sitting in this traffic on the ground.
Oh gosh.
But I go to New York and I always feel like whenever I'm in Manhattan, I always think I'm in Coruscant. Like I'm looking up like just expecting to see like an air speeder go through the air or something like that. Like, yep, one of these days I might be dead, but it'll happen.
Oh yeah, that it'll happen eventually. I mean,
Yeah, so like another costume with Padme, right? So many of them.
oh yeah, I mean, is that something you've seen like in? I mean, not Padme wise, but in canon, like do the Naboo people dress really randomly like that? I guess, or is that just mainly Padme?
That's mainly Padme.
Okay.
But this is the and it's just dawned on me. So these two characters here, Palpatine and Panaka, are gonna have
Yep.
a good relationship in the Empire going forward because apparently Panaka becomes an Imperial Moff stationed
Yep.
at Naboo. And well, he's actually killed off in the Leia Princess of Alderaan book in a bomb that is planted by Saw Gerrera. So, but it's cool. It's cool. Like, yeah, okay. Palpatine's already like putting names, you know, on a list. Like, okay, this guy could be good for my empire. Like, this guy's following orders well. Let's put him on one of the top spots. We'll get my buddy Panaka that helped me out with the Naboo crisis. I'm gonna put him on a list. You know, so it's I love just the canon. This is why I love canon. Like these little tidbits here and there. You don't see him in, you know, further in any other movies, but he's in the books.
Oh yeah. I feel like the guy that played Panaka did a pretty good job at it, compared to Ali, but I think he did a pretty good job.
Oh yeah. Hmm. Yeah, this is interesting. He'll not. Mace Windu is just the guy that frustrates me. I'm like, this guy goes against everything they want. Like, why? He's being such a jerk all the time.
Oh yeah, no, Mace is always. I mean, he's another reason why Anakin goes down the dark path.
Yep. Well, he is one of the direct reasons Mace Windu had to
Yeah.
interfere. If it wasn't for that, he probably would have let Palpatine just die or take Palpatine in somehow.
If that's the real question, I mean, I guess we'll get into that in our Revenge of the Sith commentary. But I feel like if it wasn't Anakin, I feel like Mace probably would have taken out Palpatine there, or come close to it.
Yeah, yeah. So we got Chris
But
Forsyth in the chat. He's saying that as far as I know, the Nubian people always like dressy things. So yeah, they're.
hmm,
I mean, you look at their style. Like if you're going to attack the clones, we go to Naboo again, and yeah, I can agree. They usually like their top fashion style.
hmm. I do want to see more Coruscant though in movies. I feel like,
Oh man, we see a glimpse of it in Rogue One in that flashback with
yeah,
Jyn Erso and her father and
yep.
all. But I mean, there's rumors that we might see it in the Cassian Andor series. I would love to see like a spy like in the underworld going around there. There's supposed to be a series
Oh
based
yeah.
on all that.
I would, man, I would love for them to go to Coruscant for some reason in the
Maybe even in
Mandoverse
Obi-Wan. I could see it maybe showing up
or
in
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. I want to
Oh
see
yeah,
what Coruscant looks like either post Return of the Jedi or post Rise of Skywalker.
I have, I don't know, I have a weird feeling. I have a weird feeling Obi-Wan might go exploring to to look at the Jedi Temple remains potentially in Kenobi.
Oh my gosh, that would be freaking awesome. Like him going down and like going to the lower level and discovering the Sith
Well,
Temple.
see,
Oh.
yeah, see what I'm thinking is, yeah, I mean, we'll get into that at another time. That's a whole 10-minute theory. Um,
Oh, there we go with the midichlorian conversation.
Man,
They're trying, I get it, like they're trying to like have the conversation with like Anakin as one of us, like understanding like Qui-Gon
see,
explained to
I,
us what they are.
I guess, I guess to flip my own critiques and a lot of people's critiques about the midichlorians, how would you, how would you make it be like kind of spiritual or mythical that he's the chosen one? You know, like you would have to rewrite a lot of this movie. I mean, I don't know, make Anakin do maybe some mystical force power, like really crazy force power thing or something. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, you'd have to totally rework it because you'd have to make Qui Gon somehow believe. You'd have to make, I guess Qui Gon kind of believed from the beginning. You'd have to make Qui Gon somehow believe. You'd have to, they would have to totally rework the whole idea. For episode
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, and 3 of the midichlorians, just because how do you work in the spiritual aspect when you're working with see because I guess the whole spiritual thing works easily when you have Obi-Wan and Luke, but how do you work that in when you're dealing with Mace, Yoda, et cetera, et cetera? That's a hard conversation, and it's easier just to quantify it.
Yeah, yeah. One interlude right here I want to mention.
Yep,
We're
go.
back on Naboo. They are talking about the Trade Federation has secured the planet. Now, we were mentioning about different camps that are set up as like internment camps for these poor people. And
Yep.
one of the best parts of the book, written by E.K. Johnson, the Padme's novel called Queen's Peril, is they actually have one of the handmaidens like stuck there in one of those camps, and it actually tells you like how bad those camps were. Like they were literally like starving people out. People were dehydrated, just like really crappy conditions, man. So that was something it would have been kind of neat to see at least a little bit of that, but it might have been too much for the audience, I think.
Well, especially for reintroducing people into Star Wars, you know.
There he goes. I have one battleship on my scope, says Rick Olay.
So bad. So bad. Man, he has like 5 or 6 lines in this movie and they're all bad.
Gungan City.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, so there's
Oh, actually, that's another shot too. The so our main shots we talked about earlier, we have the droid head, the pod race, the duel, but the other big shot was the Gungans in the fog. That was huge in
oh,
my opinion.
because that is the first scene in the trailer, the very first Star
Yep.
Wars trailer. Like they showed that, and it was like, whoa, what are we watching?
You have that
See, our
music in the
first year will
background and
become a
stuff.
great Jedi Knight.
Yep.
He literally just said he was the Padawan there.
Oh yeah. See, I thought, man, I don't know. I just I I don't know. I feel like Padawans are kids, but they're not.
Well, actually, no, that's younglings. So like the younglings are kids.
Oh yeah, that's
Because the
true. That's
younglings trade under multiple like Jedi to like know the basics, and then they
mm,
become a Padawan, which is when they are relegated to one master.
yeah.
Then it's Jedi Knight, then it's Jedi Master. So then maybe they can go on the council. Like that's the final step. Yeah, this is very very foreboding, and this is the big plot twist, right? I mean, as a 10-year-old, I was like, wait, what's going on here? She's a decoy. It's
Oh yeah,
really
no. When
yeah.
I was a kid, I was like, what? And that was the whole thing of like I paused it and was like, wait a second.
But this is nice. I like this whole setup as like these are the people of the resistance, right? They're gonna force out the invaders of their home and make peace on the planet once again. You have like these two disparate, separate groups of people that have hit each other's guts for who knows how long, have to band together to take out the common enemy. That's like classic Star Wars right there.
Yep.
There it is. There, Padme stepping up. Hey, I am actually the leader of my free people.
I think that's so great. Her Padme's character, I will always say her character is the most underrated character in Star Wars.
Yeah, she got a lot of people say she got pretty sidelined when it came into Revenge of the Sith. And I could agree with
Oh,
that.
one oh 100%. Like, well, there's different rumors about like stuff back then. I don't know. She said about potentially made offhand comments to George and some people behind the scenes. So he basically was just like, "Well, I'll sideline you then." Like
Oh wow.
that's what I heard before. I heard several different people bring that up actually. Um, but her character in this movie and episode two were great, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
especially for Natalie Portman being however young she is at the time.
This got to be one of her first movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is definitely one of her first ones. You know the crazy thing is about speaking of first movies, you know Jake Lloyd is in a I believe he's in Arnold Schwarzenegger's Christmas movie that came out before this. I'm pretty sure.
well, well,
Oh, Jingle All the
okay.
Way.
Chris Forsyth makes a comment that I'm happy about. He's like, I don't even have the movie on screen. My brain is just so into the runtime and racing. That's what I was kind of getting, man, because I was like, you know what? Most people that watch this show are hardcore Star Wars fans. They're gonna be like me, and they're gonna be like, I know exactly what part they're talking about because I've actually listened to many commentaries in the past with Star Wars movies where I'm usually at work, but I know exactly what they're talking about at any given time. So, yes, this is why I was hoping that we would have an interesting enough discussion while the movie's playing, and we happen to talk about certain scenes as they come up if we catch them. So,
Yeah.
and that's how it's going to be for every one of our commentaries. So. We'll do these
Oh yeah. These
sporadically. We'll do these sporadically. Whenever we have a slow news week, we're gonna come out with the next movie on tap. We're not gonna probably do a movie next week just because there's some big stuff that came out earlier today. But definitely between now and Book of Boba Fett, we're gonna have some downtime, I would assume. But going into
well,
next year, I don't think we'll have really any downtime. So it might be a long time before we revisit one of these things.
we have some this coming week we have obviously a bunch of stories to talk about. But if we don't get a trailer this coming week, then we for sure the following week we'll be able to get a movie in for sure before the Disney day.
Yep. So it's a classic Star Wars right here, right? All the heroes, at the last act, preparing for that big battle. Okay, you guys go there, I go here, you go over there. That classic battle plan. And to this day, I feel like the Phantom Menace is up there with like Return of the Jedi as like, and well, Rogue One, as being so adept at like handling different perspectives of the same battle but making them all piece together so well with the editing.
Yeah, I mean, Phantom Menace, it has the most different things going on, I believe, right? Because it has four separate things, and the other ones only have three, I believe. Because Phantom Menace, you have the droids, you have Padme, you have Qui-Gon, you have Anakin.
Yeah.
That's four. And then Episode 6, you have Endor, you have the Death Star, and then the space battle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's three. And then Rogue One, you just have them inside the base, outside the base. I mean, you can't really count the different shots, I guess. But I mean, so Rogue One, you really only have like maybe two. So yeah, this one has the most like multiple things going on.
And they all serve the same purpose as far as like going for the end goal, but all having like a different specific thing. Like this battle here, and this is that scene you were mentioning, just so foreboding. Like all the mist and the Gungans coming through. You have them distracting, right? And this is that big battle where it's like, this is Star Wars, right? We got these droids, we got these different aliens fighting.
Oh yeah. Not gonna lie though, even though it would have been like too much probably for the time period for the visuals, I would have loved to seen Obi-Wan and Anakin on that battlefield to burst those droids.
Oh man. Yeah, yeah. Well, the good thing is we got the Clone Wars series that kind of holds us over
Exactly.
for those things, right?
Right.
And who knows, right? With Obi-Wan, there's going to be flashbacks probably. So we might actually still get something like that. Like them in the Clone Wars, which we haven't seen. Unless you count Revenge of the Sith at the beginning. Yeah, you can count that as the Clone Wars still. But straight up,
I
like more
mean,
Anakin and Obi-Wan. Like, come on.
I mean,
Like,
there's been different rumors from solid people out there. There's different test shots of like Anakin look or Hayden looking like he's like in the Clone Wars look or whatever. So, and if you look up any pictures, recent pictures of Hayden, he looks like Anakin. Um,
mm-hmm.
I
I
think we're
love
getting that.
this guerrilla warfare in the streets of Theed. Just like with the way the whole
Oh yeah,
battle starts with like the freaking land speeders with this giant ass laser cannon strapped to them. So cool.
oh yeah, those were so much fun in Battlefront back in the day.
Yeah. I just love that ragtag kind of feeling. You know, that's what Star Wars makes best when you have the resistance, the rebels, or they're low in number, but the machinery that they create, it packs a punch.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think there's one wasted machinery in Star Wars.
Yeah, so there's a lot of comments coming in on the chat here.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Um it was Boss NASA's birthday the other day.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
He's like, this is all for Chris Forsyth. I need some damn downtime after Hasbro today. Like, give me a month to get my money back there. They did. Like, I feel bad for those collectors, man, because they have those streams and it's like all the pre-orders go up at 5 p.m. and it's like, boom, there goes like a whole paycheck and a half to Star Wars toys. Um,
Oh yeah, no, it's crazy.
He's
Go
saying,
on.
oh, I think he was saying that the speeder thing was in the N64 Battle for Naboo video game. I do
Yeah,
remember that
yeah, that
game.
sounds right.
That game was great, man. I remember that game, and I remember, I remember for whatever it is, a stupid ass story of when we went to Toys R Us. I ended up like getting my mom to buy that for me. I remember coming home
Mhm.
and my dad like flipped out. He's like, "You bought him another video game? He's got enough of those already." And I was like in the room playing it, like, I don't care. I don't know why I remember some stupid stories like that, but it was like, okay, yeah, and you see me now, I'm 31 and I have way more games than I had back then, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, if we're not talking about a Star.
Thing again.
Oh no.
Oh wait, I think it just reconnected.
Okay.
All right, and we're back.
All right, we're still going.
Oh
Yeah, we're
man,
still
so
live.
here we go. The big battle here. I love those shields. Like the technology that the Gungans have is so unique, right? These energy balls and just like the energy shields that they have. Just a lot more intuitive or creative than just blasters, right?
Oh yeah. Well, see, my thing. That's my thing with like this whole scene is just like we go from a really cool warriors to Jar Jar goofing around. Like I don't know. Like I mean, I guess that's why they kind of outcast Jar Jar. Like
Here we go.
Oh my.
We'll take the long way. Here we go. This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
The shot.
This music is. I was pissed that they didn't use this in freaking Rise of Skywalker, to be honest with you. Not
Hmm.
pissed. I won't say I was like that mad about it, but like
It was
in one
really
of the
annoying.
teaser trailers of the Rise of Skywalker, they literally used a different rendition of Duel of the Fates. It was in there. I'm like, yes, it's basic confirmation. We're gonna get Kylo Ren. We're gonna get Rey dueling to Duel of the Fates, making it come full circle. And well, that didn't happen. And well, that was that movie. And I just wanted Rise of Skywalker to get more tie-ins to like the prequels, which we didn't really get a whole lot of. So
We would have, it would have been Trevorrow's scripts, but
yeah.
that's another podcast.
Yeah, we know how long we can talk about the Rise of Skywalker. Yep. It comes up every stream.
Man, one thing, God, it's just like I said, the fighting, like the whole sequence with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Maul, it's just so, it's up there. To me, that's like top three lightsaber fights in Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
It's up there. See, but all the lightsaber fights have so much meaning. It's hard to even rank them, honestly.
Yeah, so what are they really fighting for in this sense? Like why is
Well,
Maul
that is
fighting
that.
them?
I mean, see that is true. Like, is if Maul? I mean, what would happen if Maul killed Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon? Would he go out there and just like,
He would go and kill Padme, I guess.
oh yeah, I guess,
Because
I guess
he's
he would
there to
kill.
assassinate her, I assume.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's why he was on Tatooine. Oh yeah, that's true.
but I think like if we're looking at, them compared to Maul, like they have absolutely no connection. Like the one connection with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to Maul is that he is the resurfacing of the Sith, or at least they assume he's a Sith, which is why he's also one of their objectives to be like, oh, we lured out the Sith, let's bring him in because we got to
Yeah.
figure out what's going on with the Sith. So that's why it's important for their end of the story. For Maul, he's just simply going to try to kill Padme. Now they're in his way, and he's got a thirst for
Oh yeah,
Jedi.
that's
Like it's explained in one of the miniseries that Maul's in. Like he wants to quench his thirst and kill like a Jedi. Like he's got this blood fueled rage when it comes to them.
yeah.
Because otherwise he would just like hold them off and like go after Padme. But like I think it's his rage, his inner rage, which is just like not letting him do that because he wants to kill the Jedi.
Oh yeah, like he would have just probably ran away from Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon then.
Yeah. Or he could have like
Yeah,
used the
that's true.
force to like throw something on top of him and then get away.
Yeah, that is
We got
true.
we got to talk about the design of the N1 Naboo starfighter because these things are so elegant. I have a toy of one of these. I know Milton talked a lot about his toy of
Oh,
the
I do too. It's up in the
Naboo
attic. I mean, we
starfighter.
all have them.
It's just such a different design than the X-wing. Like we know it's a fighter class, but it's a damn good design for like that sleek, elegant ship.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one of the coolest things like about like the Naboo, anything related to the Naboo. It's like that style, like the Nubian ship, the ship or the Naboo starfighter ship, the like Padme ship. Like they're all similar to that style.
Yeah, so this is cool. I like the fighting and they go out the window. That's something new in
Hmm.
Star Wars. Like, oh, they have grappling hooks on their weapons. How freaking convenient.
Yeah. No, that's definitely helpful. Gotta go, Batman.
Basically. But yeah, I believe all this was filmed, like this palace stuff was filmed in like an actual castle in Italy, I believe.
Yeah, I saw a MythBusters thing on this, the grappling hook scene from this
Oh
movie
yeah?
specifically. Like they went over how much machinery it would have to be to like hoist a like a full grown 190 pound man like if you shoot a grappling hook and if it would
Yep.
pull you, you'd have to have like a full-fledged like basically machine you're carrying for it to be able to pull you. Like there's not a little handheld thing that could pull you. Um, like I don't know, it was cool though. They built like actually a thing and tested it, but it was like a freaking huge machine.
Yeah. I just seen Qui-Gon just like elbow and backhand Maul to the face, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting there thinking like, man, it's a good thing he didn't hit any of his horns, or else he would impale his own hand against his horn, you know? It's the one positive
Oh
about
yeah.
Maul. If he headbutts you, you're gonna get an easy concussion and maybe get a spike through your face.
Eye. So your eye.
Yep.
Now Qui-Gon, I really like Qui-Gon's fighting style.
Yeah.
See, again, I feel like him and Padme, Qui-Gon and Padme, I feel like are two of the most underrated characters in Star Wars, just as a whole. I really do.
And this is the perfect like yin and yang with between the dark side and the light side right here. Like you have Qui-Gon, he's in a very tranquil, peaceful state. And then you have Maul, who's just like pacing back and forth, like hitting the lightsaber against the force field, just completely like unhinged and just ready to go. Like that is the complete dichotomy and the juxtaposition of the light side and the dark side right there.
Yeah. I mean, to me, what it reminds me of, honestly, like when Maul's doing that, it just reminds me of like a wrestler, like taunting, like getting ready. Back from the old WWF days in the 90s. That's one thing too. Speaking of this these sequences, like it's just crazy to think there's laser walls,
But there's what?
like laser walls, like
Oh.
like where they can't, like you can't get through them and stuff. And I just thought that was pretty.
Well, because
Now the
like
thing
what?
is, with are they force fields, or if they would touch him, like if when Qui Gon was meditating, if Darth Maul force pushed him, would he like fry?
Oh, I don't. That's a good question. I do not have the answer for that.
Oh, okay.
But
Gosh,
I
I'm
think that's like the
tough.
core plasma. Think of it as like the power plant for like the city of Theed where they're in right now. So I
Okay.
think the force fields have something to do with like the radiation and like
Mhm.
the byproducts of whatever. So like that's why there's supposedly force fields, I guess.
Hmm.
We
Interesting.
haven't talked about the droid Deka design. I love these little guys. The way they just roll around and they're really cool.
Oh yeah. One of my friends has one of those blueprints. He's building one.
Whoa.
Yeah, the one that I sent you of the who does all the costuming and stuff and building all the props. He has the full blueprint schematics to build like the droideka. He said it's going to be like 3.5 foot by 4.5 foot, like a huge. He's going to build a life size droideka for his basement cantina he's building.
Oh my gosh. That'd be so cool. A basement cantina.
Yeah, he's getting there.
Yeah, they have some pretty massive drums in the background of this of that one scene that Chris is mentioning. It's pretty
Yeah,
interesting. Oh man, here we go.
yeah.
Here we
It is.
go.
It is interesting that they added like drums. Like I feel like they for sure got Lucas got inspiration from like potentially like Native American like war chant, like that
Yep.
style of, or even potentially like Chinese armies from like the 1500s, like that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Here we go. Oh no, here we go. Oh, there goes Qui-Gon, everybody. So the interesting thing is, if you guys watch Star Wars Rebels, Obi-Wan basically like knows exactly how Maul defeated Qui-Gon. He goes for the same move and like counters it because he freaking focused on it for like 15, 13 years, something like that. So, or a lot longer than that, a lot longer than that, like 20 something years.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's how he does it.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It just always was so. I remember as a kid, it was like sad seeing Qui-Gon die.
I remember they leaked out the ending in a freaking CD. Like they said, like
Soundtrack, yeah, it's
Qui-Gon's
Qui-Gon's
noble
Noble
end.
End. Oh, so great. I mean, they released the episode 3 video game 2 months before the movie.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, yeah. Revenge of the Sith's video game. The Revenge of the Sith video game. You walk through the whole movie basically.
Yeah.
They released that like in March or April that year. It was well before
Whoa, because I have it.
movie.
I have the game.
Yeah,
And I just don't know
yeah.
when
If
I
you
got it.
yeah yeah, it came out before the movie.
I
That
guess
was back
Lucas is just
before
like,
people
hey, you've
reacted
seen
about
episodes
spoilers.
1 and 2. You basically know how the story's going to end. Is it going to be a real big
I mean,
spoiler to know that Anakin becomes Vader at this point? Like, it's just all the minutia in between that's like, how does the Republic become the Empire? How did the Jedi die off? That's like the only mystery parts.
yeah.
Well, there's more than that, but like the ferocity of Obi-Wan here is really commendable. Like just the duel they're having, man. It's just we've never seen anything nearly as fast, vaguely in the original trilogy. Just this acrobatic artwork of these two force wielders. That I wouldn't say Obi-Wan's at his prime because he's still a Padawan, but just like seeing young people doing this thing.
I would say I would say he's this is the moment he's transitioning from his whatever other stage to prime. Like this is the moment where he's coming into his prime like right now, this fight.
Well, I like it when a lightsaber duel ends in a way like it ends with this, right? It's not just like, oh, he countered him and he hit him and he stabbed him. It's like Maul was literally overconfident as hell. There was no current battle going on. He's holding off for his dear life, and he basically Obi-Wan takes advantage of his overconfidence and just does a kill shot on him from like jumping up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
I mean,
Obi-Wan is very wise to be able to just come up with the calm and collectiveness to go against his just overconfidence with Maul.
oh yeah, for sure. I mean him. And then I mean, heck, for anybody who hasn't seen it already, shout out to the behind the scenes documentary with Filoni from Mando when he was talking about this whole sequence, the whole duel of the fates, and he basically dove into the whole reasoning behind it. It's like it's not duel of the fates like just for like Padme and the heroes and like Obi-Wan and Anakin. Like the reason Qui-Gon was so into this fight is because he knows like Anakin, the fate of the galaxy relies on Anakin. Like that is the importance of this fight, and like that's so much bigger than like what we see just on screen here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was epic, that rant he went on during the Mandalorian
Mm-hmm.
gallery episodes. Oh my gosh, that like took over the internet for a week. Everybody was just like, he dropped the mic.
Well, and the best part, I think the biggest part about that whole thing with Filoni was like when he was telling that story, all of those other big directors were at attention. Like they were bought it, like they were listening. Like it wasn't just a casual conversation. Like it's just so cool.
Like, look at Maul. He's just sitting there slashing the edge, like just flaunting his stuff. Just like, yeah, you're
Yeah,
dead.
he could just throw his lightsaber at him.
I, he had like so long to react.
Uh huh.
And he just stood there like a dummy. He's just like this dopey look on his face, like, I guess I'm dead. Bye.
Well, I know. I love in the old Lego game, you hear him go, like.
I wonder if they'll keep that in there for a Skywalker Saga video game.
Oh, I hope so.
Let me see him come back in a Clone Wars with the half robotic leg.
Hmm. um. But yeah, I felt like that whole thing with Maul though. I don't know, it did like you said, it shows overconfidence, and hey, like Luke said, your overconfidence is your weakness.
Yeah, precisely. Oh yeah, so here we go. Now we're gonna get that resolution here. I like that ship design. That's pretty cool too. That little blockade rounded version runner
Oh, the
Jedi
Trade
Counselor
Federation
ship.
ship. or even not the
That right there, that little
the
ship, the
yep,
transporter.
yep.
Now this is the shot that you can actually spot the fake Mace Windu, as people call him, in the background to the right. As he comes walking up with the Jedi entourage, there's a person that isn't Samuel L. Jackson that's standing in for Mace Windu.
That's so weird.
Yeah, so we got the Royal Guard. They're coming down. You got Kit Fisto.
Plo Koon's also underrated.
We'll watch her career with great interest. There's another meme
Man,
for you. Right there, you see him.
oh yeah. What in the world?
Right behind Plo
That's,
Koon.
man, I'm never gonna unsee that now. So I don't think I've ever seen that. I mean, I've heard about it, but I guess I never paid any. I guess my mind just like auto corrected that to Samuel L. Jackson. Like, wow, I could never not
This
now
is why it's
unsee that.
This is why it's fun doing these commentaries already. I'm looking forward to more because just seeing the reaction of you reacting to that is priceless.
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't seen that before. Like I said, I just auto corrected that basically. I do love it, the funeral sequence coming up though. I love like the foreshadowing with like Palpatine and all that stuff. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Chris said someone's got to clip that from bed.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just didn't. I like see that's how I am when it comes to even things just like sometimes when I text, sometimes I don't even like fix words because I just autocorrect them like when I see them, like I just not even like changing the word or whatever when I'm texting. Like I guess I just always autocorrected that fake Mace Windu. And I've seen this movie 10,000 times probably.
Yeah, Aaron's saying I was always funny when I would tell people when we watched the movie that Maul didn't die from that because they didn't watch Clone Wars and Solo hadn't come out yet. Right? That was a whole big thing. It's like people watching Solo. Like everybody that watched Clone Wars had to turn to their friend and be like, this is why Maul survived. And they're like, he was dead in episode 1 20 years ago, you know? So this is a pretty
Oh, yeah.
prolific scene here, you know, Obi-Wan committing to Anakin like I will train you. And we got that, you know, reminiscent of Vader burning in the fire with good old Qui-Gon there.
So good.
And for the new listeners or the younger audience out there, they used to have an actual puppet Yoda in the Phantom Menace, and they have since completely CGI'd him in every scene. So, yeah, his puppet did not look great.
No, his puppet looked well. The worst part about it was you go from the puppet to Attack of the Clones CGI Yoda.
Yeah,
It's like there's only 10 years, and I don't think he aged or basically aged backwards. He looks younger in Attack of the Clones than he did in the first Phantom Menace.
yeah. And then so apparently this music this will blow your mind if you're not aware. This track at the end of Phantom Menace is basically a rendition of the Emperor's song, just in like the major key. If you're a musician, you understand that, or if whatever. But like, if you listen to it closely, like you can actually understand. Like, oh crap, that is like the happier version of Palpatine's like Return of the Jedi music. You know.
That's crazy.
There we go. We got a Padawan Jedi Anakin, or at least a Jedi apprentice because he's got the braid. I believe he does at least.
Yeah, he has the braid. He should.
Yep.
Unless it got CGI'd out.
Oh man. There we go. That's a wrap on our first commentary. So very cool.
Question. What's that thing Boss Nass holds up?
Yeah, that's like the something of life, I think.
I was gonna say, is it like a big, I don't know, non-explosive thing? Because I mean, there are other explosive things kind of look like that. So maybe it's like a, I don't even know. Like it's weird.
Yeah. And it's funny because they just came out with Chris Forsyth is saying they just came out with the Apprentice Anakin at the Hasbro con today or whatever. So,
Oh,
um,
nice.
yeah, I was looking
Perfect
through the
timing.
pictures. Yeah, I was looking through the pictures. I was like, who is that character? I cycle right past. I'm like, I gotta find out the name of this new character. And they're like, that's Jedi Apprentice Anakin. I'm like, wow, I've literally never seen that figure in any version before. Like, I just totally didn't get it. Unity
Yeah.
Peace Ball.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. But oh yeah, Phantom Menace, man. Love it or hate it, I think it's a lot more valued in today's fandom. It's like a fine wine, right? You just kind of let it get better with age. And with all the
Yeah.
subsidiary material, like the Clone Wars series, definitely helped raise it up a little bit. Some of the books, some of the comics, all that stuff does a great job of kind of like making it more integrated into what we all know as Star Wars. And it's important, right? Like a lot of people will be like, "Oh, you got to cut out episode 1." Like the machete order. They're like, "You got to cut out episode 1. You can start at episode 2 and 3." I don't think that works.
No. I mean, I don't think it does. The only way, I mean, that we could get into that's a whole nother discussion, but if you would like basically yank episode 2 and 3 and make them 1 and 2, then you could potentially have an episode 3 where it's like Vader hunting down the Jedi, like, potentially seeing what Obi-Wan's referencing versus just like a little montage in Revenge of the Sith. So, I can kind of see where people are coming from, but I don't mind this backstory whatsoever. Like, to me, the Phantom Menace is a really good. It's definitely one of the more fun, like, visual Star Wars movies. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
action's really good, and in my opinion, especially the ending sequence, like the 4-part battle, I think is great. It has its weaknesses for sure, especially like the Ollie guy. Like, he's so bad.
Rick
And
Alley.
then Oh, so bad, so bad. I had like probably 5 of his figures. People kept getting me as a kid, and I was like, "Why are you getting me this guy?" Um, but I mean, him. Really, the only weaknesses for me for this film really are just him, which is just a side character, and then I don't really like how 3PO's created by Anakin. I thought maybe you could just have him be like one of Padme's handmade people, um, and then really other than that, just like the politics, like, as an adult, like, whatever, the politics are what they are, but they do kind of slow the movie down a little bit, for what it is. Or you could have made them, I don't know, maybe make the conversations a little more significant sounding. I don't know, they just sounded boring when you listen to them, but like
Mm-hmm.
overall, like, this movie's a lot of fun. Like, the opening sequence is great with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Like, I love the pod race, is some of the most iconic Star Wars, like, especially in terms of like, getting to see all the vehicles and aliens and things. And then, of course, like we said, the 4-part battle, seeing Anakin get his first piloting in space, like, that's pretty cool, and significant. I guess it just shows how powerful Anakin is with the Force. I mean, he's never been off Tatooine, and he's taking down a Trade Federation ship. Like, that's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
pretty crazy. Like, I mean, you have that, and then of course the Duel of the Fates. Like, that is one of the most iconic Star Wars sequences in terms of fighting and music. Like, to me, this movie is one of the better Star Wars movies. As I mean, I love all the Star Wars movies as a whole are pretty good for what they are, but this is definitely one of the better ones, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. So what this one does more than anything else is it's really good for world building as far
Yep.
as seeing how far we've come from the original trilogy back in time to the I was gonna say the High Republic. It's a little bit before this, the prequel trilogy, and having a look at the Coruscant, the central part of the galaxy, seeing how the politics work. Yeah, could they have been done better? Probably, but it gave us plenty of spectacle, gave us plenty of insight into the Jedi Order and how they function. When they're not completely destroyed, like we see in the original trilogy. But it gives us an idea of Obi-Wan, what his mindset is, seeing Qui-Gon Jinn, seeing about the Chosen One, right? I think it is important, the story generally is about Anakin Skywalker and seeing, he's the chosen one for a reason, seeing he even got into the Jedi Order, seeing his beginning, seeing how he was able to join there and seeing those seeds that are already planted, like you said, that one moment where it's like, oh, that's Darth Vader right there. Like that kid, 10-year-old, like his mind's already turning to certain things like Darth Vader. We're going to see from that early age how it even gets there. And we'll see 10 years later, the next time we do a commentary with Attack of the Clones, how that comes by even at a larger hit for us when he comes by and he's doing a lot more dangerous things like slaughtering Tusken Raiders and all. So,
Oh yeah, and hey, on a lighter note, man, Anakin being like 9 or 10 years old, hitting on a 14, 15-year old Padme, like that shows that kid has some confidence as whether he has the Force or not. Like that kid's confident. So like, it's crazy seeing like even a kid like that be like, yeah, checking you out. Like I don't know, it's cool how they built Anakin's character up. Like from that, even that moment where he's flirting with Padme, that's showing his like almost arrogance, because his character is arrogant, like, the way he acts as an adult, like, and those are just the early seeds of like building up his arrogance as a Jedi.
oh yeah, oh yeah. So we have reached the end of the credits, everybody. I want to send a very special shout out to everybody in the chat right now. We got Chris Forsyth, we got Aaron Daly, we had Adam Bryant, we had the Lowdown Show, we had Star Wars Timeline. We had a lot of you join us today, and that was really fun. And like I said, we don't have a schedule per se of when we'll be doing these, but if it is a lighter news week, which we assume will happen between now and December 29th, we are certainly going to continue doing these because I don't know about you, Ben, but I had a blast doing this.
Oh yeah, this is a lot of fun. And I mean, once we get Milton on here, I'm sure it'll be even a lot more fun with him. He's always great. And the next one's going to be a blast, like Attack of the Clones. There's a lot of fun stuff in that movie. A lot of fun stuff. Like, there's a big section of that movie that could be a movie on its own, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Aaron Daly, she's gonna get the last word in on the chat. I can appreciate this film because it's what got me into Star Wars. Before that, I had only ever seen scenes from the original trilogy, but never saw them entirely till after I saw this in theaters. So that's a really cool outlook as somebody, seeing from that perspective and getting their viewpoint and then going into the full saga from that. But yeah, it's a good entry point. I mean, yeah, I didn't really get into Star Wars heavily until Phantom Menace, like Chris was saying earlier in the chat about the toys and all really got him, and that's really with me too. Those toys really stuck with me, especially with the Phantom Menace.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, I did get into Star Wars. I mean, like I said, I was 6 years old, but what got me into it was A New Hope. That's for sure. I mean, we'll get into that once we get to that movie, but yeah, I mean, this movie, like, it just brings back so many memories. Like I said, hey, I've shown them before on stream. Like, it brings back memories of like the old Pepsi cans with all the characters' faces on them. It brings back memories of like all the great marketing. Like Phantom Menace's marketing was awesome. Like Star Wars is back. Like Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, like everywhere. There was Star Wars. Like Phantom Menace is like what kicked so many things off for so many people. Like Aaron said, she got started on this movie, and you did, and so many other people did. And it's so huge. Like I mean, Star Wars has connected everybody. I remember, this shows you how my grandma was into Star Wars. Like when she took me to see this movie, the first thing she did when they said, like when Qui-Gon gets introduced to Anakin, my grandma, like I remember, was like, "That's Darth Vader right there," and I was like, "Wait, what?" but but yeah, even back then, like I don't know, it's just Star Wars connects everybody, and that just shows you, and no matter what age you are, it's great for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's a good line to end on there for the week. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Some quick housekeeping things here. You can go ahead and you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow Ben at Real Ben Mater on Twitter. You can follow me, Starrapter, on Twitter. If you are listening to the podcast, we also do this live every Friday, just around 9 o'clock Eastern, sometimes a few minutes later. You can find us on youtube.com/Starrapter. You can also find us on audio form on any of your favorite podcast platforms, whether it be Apple Music or Spotify or Google Music. Make sure you find us on Outer Rim Transmission. And we do have t-shirts and different apparel available on our official Teespring store. Just go to Teespring and search Outer Rim Transmission, and that could go towards things like conventions and stuff. The money that I get will be going towards all of that stuff, so you guys can we can try to maybe do some coverage one of these days at one of these big events, which could always be fun. So yeah, without further ado, we guys we'll see you next week. Like I said, we're probably gonna do another news episode just because things kind of popped in on us last minute today. I generally think that Friday's news doesn't come out because usually for a lot of industries they put out the bad news on Friday to kind of get buried by the weekend. But in the case of Star Wars, they're like, no, let's get out rumors for Anakin and new Hasbro reveals and all this crazy stuff. So we'll be talking all about that next week. If you expected to hear us talk about this week, just wait one more week and we'll be talking about it then. And we'll be hopefully joined by Milton next week as well. He was doing work stuff tonight, which is fine because he's going to be back next week. So there you go.
Oh yeah, and find him also at Milton Weber 7 on Twitter as well.
There you go. So for me, for Ben, for Milton, this was Outer Rim Transmission number 30. Transmission out. And I ended it wrong again because I said